All right, how to get out of a rut. If you're in a rut right now, you find yourself in any state, how to get out of a rut. In this video, I'm going to break down my go-to way of getting out of any rut that I've been in ever, period, using predominantly this one core strategy. There's other elements to it that I'm going to sprinkle in there, but this one core strategy that I actually learned from Tony Robbins through a podcast that referenced the exact thing, and then just instantly I understood it, and it changed the game for me. Changed the game. It's very simple. State, story, strategy. That's it. State, story, strategy. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you two examples, one on the positive, one on the negative, and I'm going to allow you to go and use it today, both good or bad, depending on where you're at. But if you are watching this video, you most likely are in a rut, or you're interested about the next time you're in a rut. So, when you are in a rut, let's just assume you're in a rut right now. And if you aren't, I would ask you to go back to the last time you felt. And a rut could be within a day. Like you could just wake up and you were just off that day. You know, your mind wasn't hitting. You're feeling depressed. You're feeling like the world's out to get you. You don't want to work. You are procrastinating. You're on your phone. Maybe this is why you're even watching this video. And so just imagine you're either there, or if you are there, sit with me and I'm going to walk you through what to do. Now, the major thing here with being in a rut is understanding that it is temporary. And it is temporary because of one important thing, your state. And so if we go through this, state, story, strategy, a lot of people use the strategy as the first place to try to get out of the rut, and that's just not the case. That's just not the solution. You will never be able to use the strategy when you're in a rut effectively, because the strategies you're going to come up with will be based off the stories you're telling yourself, which is if you're in a bit of a depressed state, if you're a little bit anxious, if you are a little angry, these stories you're going to tell yourself about yourself in the world won't be conducive to the actual strategy you need to get out of the rut. Because your state dictates the stories you tell yourself about the world, which dictates the strategies you take to solve for whatever you're going after. And so, instead of starting at the strategy of like, okay, I'm depressed, what should I do? I am angry, what should I do? I am anxious, what should I do? It's, I'm anxious, let me change my state to excitement, to happiness, to joy, to of love, to inspired, and then the story's going to change as a result of the state changing, and then the strategy in which you can take to solve for whatever you're solving for will change. So what you need to be doing is first and foremost recognizing that when you are in a rut, the rut is temporary. And the rut is only as temporary as the state exists for. And once the state changes, the stories about how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you approach this problem will start to shift. Instantly will melt away. And when that happens, now you can change your strategies. So if you're sitting here depressed, if you're sitting here anxious, if you're sitting here angry, if you're sitting here out of boredom, whatever negative state you're in that is causing you to be in this rut, you just need to change your state. Now, the ruts I always find myself in, recently I should say, is typically the 24-hour rut. It's the intraday, wake up, underslept, and find myself not really engaging with the world. And so I start telling myself these stories because my state is down, and the stories I'm telling myself lead to poor strategies of just procrastinating and being on my phone and yada yada. Well, I've come to recognize that in those days, in those moments where I find myself low energy, I find myself anxious about the world, I find myself potentially even in a place of depression because of the results I'm getting for myself or whatever it is, I've removed the weight of the stories that I tell myself in the states where I'm in a negative kind of sentiment. So anything, if you look up the emotional guidance scale, there's a bunch of positive states, there's like a neutral one, and then there's a bunch of negative states. And so I've recognized anytime I'm feeling any of those negative states, and just go look it up, I've now removed the ability for my brain to put any weight on the stories I'm telling myself while I'm in that state. Because when I do that, I can't do too much damage and continue to hold myself in those negative states, which then continues to tell myself these negative stories, which then continues to make poor decisions as a result of the stories I'm telling myself in the state I'm in. Which allows me to bounce out of it rather quickly. Because I've recognized the stories that are being told right now are largely delusional. And they're an illusion that is only being cast upon the world and cast upon myself and who I am and what I'm capable of because of the state I'm in. And if I can change my state, then I can change the stories. I can snap back into the most authentic version of me. That's the go-getter, the performance guy, yada, yada, yada. Okay? And so if the state's the only thing that really matters, the strategies don't matter. The stories really don't matter. They come and go. It's the state. Well, then the question is, well, how do we change our state? And depending on why you're in the state right now will depend on how we answer that. But the long and short of it is Matthew Walker, author of a great book, Why We Sleep, had an amazing concept around sleep, which he says a great sleep is the bridge from despair to hope. Despair to hope. And I think you can actually replace those words with any negative state to any positive state. Now, you might not go from like depression, the very bottom, all the way up to love. You could, and I've found myself doing that literally just with a night's sleep. But your unique situation might just be like, hey, I'm feeling depressed today, and then you wake up tomorrow and you just feel content. Okay, which is kind of like the baseline of the positive states. That's better than depression. We've now just fucking ascended a ton of negativity, and we're back in the positive. But for you, understand that one of the fastest ways, especially if it's an intraday rut, you wake up, you're not on, or something throughout the day throws you off, and then from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. you're just in this rut. You're just feeling stuck. Okay. Understand if you just give yourself the best opportunity to have the best sleep tonight, have a great sleep. You go to bed, no tech. You wind down. You're not eating. You allow yourself to get a great sleep. Likely your state will snap back. Likely your state will give you enough of a rebound just from that sleep, and it's that simple, that you will be able to wake up tomorrow and feel great again. And as a result of feeling great, the stories will shift, the strategy will shift, and then you can start taking action in a more aligned approach to your highest self. So that's number one. Is my go-to is if I wake up, or if something happens throughout the day, or if I deplete my energy and my state goes down, or if I wake up and my state's not good, because there's been times, and there will continue to be many times in my life where I wake up and my brain's just not functioning. Whether it was some action I took the day before, I ate late, I was out late, whatever it was, I underslept. I understand that when I wake up on low state, none of the stories that I'm telling myself has any significant weight, and I'm not going to take any actions or make any rash decisions here during this day, and all I need to do is focus on getting a great sleep tonight. And if I do that, boom, my state's back, my stories are aligned with my highest self, and the strategies are back on course with building the business, building the life, etc. So that's number one. Just go to bed and have a great sleep. It's as simple as that. Don't overcomplicate it, because state, story, strategy is the way. I'm telling you, there's never been an easier way to get out of a rut when you focus on your state, because that will allow you to shift your stories and shift the way you approach the challenges. Now, if the sleep doesn't do it, then we obviously need to look at something deeper, right? And if you continue to find yourself in these places, well, we still need to look at state. And so if we look at your physiology, it's pretty simple just to expand beyond sleep into nutrition, okay? Which nutrition is going to be a big one. If you're constantly waking up, going about your day and eating something that is constantly causing your state to crash back down into negative states, right? Low energy, lethargy, that will cause you to have low state, poor stories, poor strategy. And so fix your diet. Stop eating inflammatory foods. And the fat 3, refined sugars, refined seed oils, or sorry, not refined, industrial seed oils, and refined flours. Okay, if you're constantly eating gluten all the time, that could be an issue. And if it's sourdough, a little bit different. If you're constantly having seed oils in your diet, especially fried foods, those are gonna fuck you up and make you feel terrible. And if you're constantly eating sugar, especially refined sugar, artificial sugar, that's going to be very inflammatory to the body, in which it's going to keep a level of stress in your body, okay? And if it goes long enough, it could be chronic, and there's going to be a certain level of turn down in your body that does not allow you to feel at your best, okay? So fix your diet. I have something that we use inside of Actualize called the Energy Reboot Protocol, that over 28 days, it fully eliminates those 3 things and introduces you to some of the world's best foods for 28 days. If you're interested in something like that, I would be more than happy to offer that up to you if you just reach out to me over on Instagram and just say something like Energy Reboot, whatnot, we can get it sorted. I'll send it to you. So your nutrition is the next thing to fix your state, okay? If the sleep doesn't do it and it's more than a day, then it's gonna be something more systemic. Nutrition's the next place I wanna look. Is our nutrition dialed in, and have we been able to fix it for a period of 7 to 14 days to really get a sense of, was it nutrition? Because again, if you've been constantly eating sugar, you've been constantly having seed oils in your diet, you've been constantly having flours in your diet, your body needs to kind of like de-bloat, to remove and filter out and repair itself from the inflammation that's been present. One step further from that, we're training. We gotta be in great shape. You know, do you have a bunch of fat on you? Okay, especially as a man, the more fat you have, the less testosterone production, which is gonna literally make you feel less of a man, which could be lowering your state. Okay, so we gotta be training. Now, nutrition's also gonna fix that, but training is gonna make you feel really good. Did you know that when you train and you do a hard workout or a hard exercise, it's like taking a little bit of Prozac and a little bit of Ritalin. You have that calm, focused energy, but you actually get a 12-hour mood boost, state increase when you exercise. And so whether that's going out for a long walk right in the morning when the sun's up, or whether that is going and hitting a HIIT workout at a group fitness class, you don't have to think about it, you just fucking show up and do it. Or maybe you're bodybuilding and you go hit the compound lifts, whatever that is. Working out is one of the fastest ways to feel better if you constantly find yourself in a rut, day to day, week to week. Move the body, okay? Thoughts follows actions. It's important there when it comes to training. The last element of it is the more like subjective side of it, the more kind of like mindset shifting things that can come up. There's still behavior, but I don't know what to categorize this group of stuff. Number 1 is clarity, okay? One of the principles that Actualize is have goals always. We are teleological beings, and if we do not know what we are going after, then we feel lost, and if we feel lost, that can plummet our state because we don't have any meaning in our life, and we don't have meaning, we tend to go into crisis mode in a way, right? And we start to grasp on, and we try to grab onto things that seem to have meaning, and it's a very slippery slope. And so ask yourself, are you clear on your goals? Do you have something meaningful in your life right now that you're going after? Especially if you're a man, it is hardwired into us to seek something meaningful. And back in caveman days, when I was hunting, it was very clear. You know, the tribe needed to eat. Okay, well, I got meaning from my life because I was the man that was going to go get the food to allow the tribe to eat. That was meaning. Today, Uber Eats is the fucking mammoth. You don't need to go and kill it, okay? You just fucking swipe on your phone. And so a lot of what caused meaning in our life, in past lives, is now gone, eliminated. So you have to go out and seek out meaning in life through meaningful goals. Very important. And then you have to hold those goals in your mind. And if you lose clarity and you're kind of wandering about your life and you're unsure of why you're doing what you're doing day to day, and you wake up and you're like, why the fuck am I doing this thing that I don't love doing? Like, you need to figure out your goals. So do you have clarity? Ruts in prolonged windows, talking plus a week, a month, years at a time, if you feel like you're just going through the motions, it's probably because you haven't found something meaningful to attack, some big vision that you can go after. Whole other video on that. Actually, the last 3-4 videos ago, the title was, if you don't have goals, try this. That video is a great place to start if you're either, at a chapter where you've achieved a bunch of stuff, you don't know what to do next, or if you're right at your start and you don't have anything meaningful, that's what to do. Long and short of it is, go after self-actualization. Bigger topic. So clarity, do you have clarity? If you don't have clarity, then it's going to be really easy for your state to constantly drop back into a negative state. Because you're going to see the world more pessimistic, you're going to be more depressed, you're going to have higher levels of anxiety, you might even get angry at the world, angry at yourself, you might have a lot of negative self-talk as a result of that. Outside of clarity and having goals and being focused on something meaningful, the other big one is distractions. Is context switching, is constantly putting your brain in a place of overload, which is, again, is your state is overloaded, and you're on your phone all the time, you're checking emails every 2 minutes, you're checking your texts every 5 minutes, you are going between 3 different tabs, and you're trying to work on 20 different things at one time, and you're constantly, being bombarded by outside stimulus, and you're just overloaded. And you have this pattern, whether you recognize it or not, that you do day to day to day to day. And it always feels like, oh, fuck, man, I'm not moving anywhere. I'm not moving. My brain feels so overloaded. I feel like I can't focus. That's your state. What does that tell you? You're telling yourself certain stories. And then it's leading to certain strategies that are going to be like, oh, I need to work even more. I need to overload myself. And then I'm not getting good sleep. And yada, yada, yada. The distraction element is a huge piece. But really, the context switching is the element here that's just going to dice up your brain and cause you to have very little focus, very little peace and clarity in life. So if you're doing any of that and you're doing it on a very systemic, habitual level, that could cause this pseudo rut. You're almost not even in a rut, but you're self-sabotaging yourself to putting yourself in a rut. It's very interesting. So watch yourself. How many hooks are you putting into your brain to pull your brain in different directions? I was even thinking about this yesterday. Like when you, even outside of your phone, but if you say you smoke weed, you overeat, you have the TV on, then you're up late, and then you're thinking about something that you said to your girlfriend or the girl that you want to see. Right there's 5 or 6 things that's going on at once. Like you're high, you have your TV playing, you're up late, so you're more tired. All of these, it's so easy to just add a bunch of layers onto the brain for the brain to try to process and comprehend and digest. And then it just fucking breaks down, and then it just goes into a deeper and deeper level of again, depression, anxiety, whatever that might be for you. So ask yourself, is there too much load on the brain? Are you trying to again, do too many things at once, and then that's causing you to literally just go into a rut? So that's really it. To recap everything, how to get out of a rut. Number 1 is to understand you don't start with a strategy, you start with a state, and then the state will dictate the stories we tell ourselves about the world and ourselves, and that will dictate the strategies we take about solving what we need to solve for. The fastest way to do it is just recognize that sleep is very much the bridge from negative emotion to positive emotion, from despair to hope, as Matthew Walker put it. That is by far the fastest way to do it. And in the interim between you and getting to that good sleep, reduce any weight that the story, reduce any weight on the stories that are coming up during this window. And you have to have like metacognition there. You have to be able to look at yourself. And this is why awareness is the number one thing any guy can develop, is a high self-awareness. And when I can do that, I have high self-awareness. I recognize I'm in a low state, and I recognize the story that I'm telling myself is extremely pessimistic, is extremely out of alignment with my higher self, and I put zero weight on it. I can experience the story. The story can exist, and I can just say, oh, that's fine, but I know it's not the truth. I know I'm only saying this, I'm only feeling this way, I'm only seeing the world because I'm in a low state, which I'm telling myself negative stories, which I'm trying to do dumb fucking things, okay? If sleep doesn't do it, move to the next piece, your nutrition, then training. And then if that doesn't do it, ask yourself, do you have clarity in your life right now? Are you going after something meaningful? If that doesn't do it, ask yourself, are you fucking overloading the brain by doing too many things at once, and you're trying to be everything to everyone, and you're constantly on your phone, you're constantly checking your emails, you're constantly checking texts, and it's just bogging the brain down and making you feel like you're an absolute dumbass. And then as a result of that, you're telling yourself poor stories, which is causing your state to go down, yada, yada, yada. That's it. Hopefully that was helpful. I tried to fucking keep this one a little more concise. Still ended up running 21 minutes. But such is life, and I hope that helped, and I'll see you in the next one.